this patriarchal system that we've all lived in for centuries is probably as harmful to men as it is to women. It's not serving anybody, and yet here we are. What's up, guys? It's Devin Harrington, the average Gen Xer, and welcome back to my channel, where today we're talking about the male loneliness epidemic, or should I say the alleged male loneliness epidemic. And I am curious about this because it goes hand in hand, in my opinion, with the large cultural groundswell movement, if you will, that is happening in many countries, that women of all ages are just saying, nah, they don't want to date. They don't want to look for a partner. They have just found the ecstasy of having your own space and not having to deal with all the things that come along with having a man around. So I just searched male loneliness epidemic on TikTok, and let's just take a look at some of these and see what jumps out at us. But first, as I do on every video on this channel, I want to take a second to encourage all animal lovers out there. Please do consider volunteering on site or fostering for your local animal shelter or rescue. This is Ella Fitzgerald. She's still with me, and she's chilled out quite a bit. She was very traumatized from her previous life, and getting ready to start walking with her on the leash, so that will make her a lot more adoptable. So hopefully she gets adopted very soon. But if you love animals, please consider volunteering just a couple hours a month at your local animal shelter, or taking dogs, cats, whatever, into your home. It's not as hard as you think, and it's not as expensive as you think, and many shelters will give you supplies. So give it some thought, and you can do your part to help save the world. Do it for the animals. Thanks.
The male loneliness epidemic is fake. You men are just horrible people and nobody wants to be around y'all. Any general issue that men face, I promise, you can trace it back to toxic masculinity. The reason why men feel like nobody cares about their feelings is because men are socialized into believing that emotional vulnerability is a sign of weakness.
How sad is that, too? With everything that we have learned about brain science and trauma and PTSD and emotional intelligence and all of that. Come on, people. I really hope that turns for the men of the future.
A lot of you men are lonely because you don't see women as equal peers and you view men as competition. Nobody wants to be around that person.
Would I say the male loneliness epidemic is fake? No. Would I agree with his brother's prognosis on why the male loneliness epidemic exists? Yes. So a lot of brothers get real holed up on the phrase toxic masculinity, but I'm going to give you all a definition of the word toxic. So we're going to use all four of these definitions in this example.
So he is giving us the definitions of toxic. Number one, poisonous, the dumping of toxic waste. And a lot of women on these channels, on all of the, let's just call it single by choice content. Sorry, guys, I'm still working on my little collapsed lung thing. Oh, that. Second, very harmful or unpleasant. Oh, what I was saying is a lot of women are finding men these days to just bring negativity and toxicity, and really, like, the juice is just not worth the squeeze anymore. And I would love to know what people out there think. Like, I'm of the older generation, obviously. I'm 55. And for the most part, Gen X women, the guys that were around to date when we were teenagers, had likely never seen any XXX content, or, it was a magazine or something. I mean, you had to be 18 to go into a video store, remember those, and rent XXX content. And now young men are growing up from childhood with a thing in their hand where they can watch any sick thing they can dream up for free at any time. And what that must do to just the way men view sex. is really sad. And I say that as someone who fully supports adult content. If it's all consenting adults and no one has been trafficked into this scene, have at it, man. It's a free-ish country. And it's freedom of expression. So whatever. I certainly have done my share of watching good-looking people do things I would never do in real life, and I don't see a problem with it. But Jesus, not for kids. And I know, I'm sure those of you that have teenagers, they're crafty, man. They will find a way. Anyway, toxic. All of this is causing the younger generation, women in their 20s and 30s, to just say, we're not doing this anymore. I mean, that's never happened. It's never happened before in human history. And it's all thanks to the global connection we all share with social media. Number 3, financial denoting, toxic debts. Yeah, denoting high risk of default. So denoting securities that are based on toxic debt and for which there is not a healthy or functioning market. And women who live with men often find that they are living with someone who is not healthy or functioning. And here's my disclaimer. For anyone who comes along and thinks I am sitting here bashing men, I am not. I am stating experiences that so many women have in common. That's what we're talking about. And it's not all men. Obviously, there are good guys out there. But I've lived with a number of guys who were really great guys. And just because we all swim in the patriarchal soup, if you will, eventually it does become toxic. And so anyway, let's hear what this guy has to say.
A healthy or functioning market. Now, the reason why I'm utilizing all of these definitions is because all of these definitions can be attributed to particular states of masculinity that are not purposeful, are performative, and are harmful. Let me explain. First and foremost, human beings are innately social creatures. And when you remove that sociability from your humanity, you create an environment of isolation, supreme isolation, that can contribute to feelings of anxiety, depression, helplessness, hopelessness.
That is certainly happening today. And I mean, when I was a kid, it was all about Atari. Remember Atari? And the adults back then, what is this going to do to kids' brains, and go outside and all of that. But nowadays, there are a significant portion of not just young men, but probably majority young men who have a gaming cave and can go 20 hours, it's not good. It's not good for the human race. The fact that there are so many kids out there nowadays who have to drop out of high school because they cannot handle a social situation is disturbing, in my humble opinion, on my humble channel. Let's move on to the next one, because I don't like the sound on this guy.
If women stopped sleeping with men who did stupid things, would men stop doing stupid things?
They probably call it the male loneliness epidemic, and do even stupider things, and then blame women for not liking them for doing said things. Hope this helps.
Totally.
Men are not facing a lonely epidemic. A lot of men are facing what's called a karmic return.
I love this lady. I've seen her before. She is so gorgeous. I mean, that skin, geez, and she is brilliant.
Keeps calling it a male loneliness epidemic. And yes, some men are lonely. But if we're being real, a lot of what we're witnessing is just a karmic return. Because for generations, men were taught that they didn't need emotional depth. They were taught that they needed access to a woman's body, access to her nurturing, access to her emotional labor, access to her softness, access to her womb, her home, her loyalty, her forgiveness, and her unpaid therapy.
Forgiveness. That's a big one. Think of all the women throughout history, not that women don't cheat, but we all know that in a broad generalization, men are more likely to cheat because men have more testosterone that makes them chase their dick around. And women are brought up to, or have always been brought up to, be forgiving. Boys will be boys. You must accept him. He is your husband, he's going to make mistakes, blah, blah, blah. You must forgive him. And how many women's lives and potential has been wasted because they felt like they had to forgive, have to stay in the marriage, can't get divorced.
But most men were never taught how to become a safe place
Yeah.
for that very thing that they want access to.
Very true. I think it's the lack of emotional depth is the main thing. And the feeling that once you get out into the real world and off of apps and all of that, and you meet that guy in a public place, for God's sake, I hope so. He does not come to your house. He does not know where you live. I'm astonished at the amount of women that just go home with a guy they barely know. Not that I didn't do it in my day, but anyway. But once you meet a person in person, that's when it gets awkward, because you have to be in their presence and feel their energy and see if you guys can hold an intelligent conversation. And often women are sitting there thinking that whatever a man buys them on that date is going to cause the guy to think that she owes him something in the way of intimacy. And that's just like a natural thing that happens in a straight woman's brain because of the way men have behaved throughout history. And not all men, obviously, not all men, but there is often a great lack of emotional depth in men because they have never in history had to have any emotional depth. Emotions were considered weak, you know. My grandfather was a badass, served in World War II, came home with his tattoos and crazy stories, got married, raised 6 kids, built his own house. I mean, he was super cool, but did I know him as a person? No. He was a really good grandpa to me, but that's all I knew him as. And it's always when your older relatives die that you start thinking, man, I wish I would have talked to them about this or asked them this. Anyway, so just talk to your grandparents, people.
Not a lot of women are waking up.
And, you know, my grandfather was born in the early 1920s. His generation of men, they didn't have to think about feelings. They performed romance to get a girl, but they have never had to have emotional depth. And now, because women have been so, as a broad generalization, mistreated, and women are much more open to going to therapy, women have been out here healing and improving ourselves and achieving things and accomplishing things and writing down lists of goals. And meanwhile, men have just coasted along because they've never been told that emotions are part of being human. I mean, yes, it's a generalization, but there's not all of these people online talking about the same thing for nothing.
They're healing, they're setting standards, they're choosing peace, they're leaving one-sided connections. They're no longer auditioning to be picked by emotionally unavailable men.
Yes.
And now men are meeting the consequences of the very system that they benefited from. That's why this is not just about loneliness. This is what happens when you spend thousands of years being emotionally disconnected, avoidant, entitled, emotionally lazy, commitment phobic, and only showing up when you're about to lose access. Metaphysically, this is what we call a karmic return. Psychologically,
yeah, they only wake up or snap out of it that you weren't kidding about the things you asked of them, even if it's just little things. Like the last guy I was with, I talked about him on the last video. Like, I was all in with this guy, and I lusted after him every minute of the day because he was just my perfect aesthetic. And I always used to tell him, you know, he's like my age, but his hair was thick black hair, and I'm totally a hair girl. So, but I would always say, oh, you should get your hair in a faux hawk. I love a faux hawk because it's, you know, it's cool. I think it is. And his hair grew so fast anyway. So I did the breaking up, and I cut him off completely. Like, you don't get to hear my voice again. And he has spent the past, I mean, at like the 3-year mark, he was still trying to get a hold of me. But shortly after I broke up with him, he sent my brother a screenshot of him flexing in front of the camera, and with several women putting hearts on the screen, and his hair in a faux hawk. And I was like, That is bizarre. But apparently, according to Coach Marielle here on TikTok, it happens all the time.
This is emotional underdevelopment colliding with women awakening. Spiritually, this is a harvest season. Because eventually, every pattern comes back to collect. And baby, the universe is collecting right now.
Do you think there's a male loneliness epidemic going on? I think so, because we don't know how to connect. We don't know how to be vulnerable. A man is very logical. We're logical. We think through scenarios.
Yes and no. I like to remind everybody on this channel that men and women are all equal but different. And as is whatever else you identify. I'm just talking about differences in physical differences, mental differences, all of that. And this guy is totally right. Men are not taught to connect, and girls, at least, we are taught to take care of other people. And until enough generations pass that it becomes normal for men and women to learn to connect with each other, that boys and girls get the same upbringing as far as speak your emotions, all of that, express yourself. It's okay to cry. It's healthy to cry. Until that happens, we ain't playing.
We think through the strategy of who we're sharing things with. There's a lack of trust because of how we've been hurt, because of, I already tried that. And that loneliness then spurs up because we isolate.
The sad music in the background kills me.
I saw this video today, and it was two men debating the lonely man epidemic that's going on. And one of the men started saying that the reason why men are lonely is because women. It's all because of women. It's because we expect everything. We put too much pressure on them. We expect them to have money. We expect this, blah, 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 blah. Apparently, we're the problem because we want something in return. And then the other commentator said no. He was like, it has nothing to do with women. Women are not the fucking problem. Men are lonely because of the patriarchy that they fucking built. Mm-hmm. They're lonely because it's because of the pressures of the patriarchy. You have to be the provider. You have to have money.
I totally agree with that. This patriarchal system that we've all lived in for centuries is probably as harmful to men as it is to women. It's not serving anybody. And yet here we are.
You have to have a good-looking woman. And if you don't, then you're the problem. And what is actually happening in the world, this is what I believe, is the feminine is evolving. Women are evolving. We're at a place now where we don't need a man. We don't have to attach ourselves to men. And men come into this world, or they have come into the world, patriarchy, where they're prioritized. They don't have to do anything. They're fucking men. They're already of value. And all of a sudden,
how sad is it that this girl has got to be in her 20s and she's saying the same thing that has always been true, that boys are favored in families. I know that was true in my family. It was definitely true in my mom's family. And that is ick. That's got to go.
Sudden women can make their own money. Women are waking up going like, hey, wait a second. Why the fuck am I getting married when I'm doing 75% of the work? And the men, they don't want to change because you've had it so fucking good for a long time. Now, not to say that there aren't struggles, but that's the world that you guys have built, not women. Patriarchy does not favor women. It literally devalues us all the fucking time.
Yeah, even the concept of marriage is bringing the woman, the lamb, to the slaughter, to have the father give away the bride. These are all ancient traditions that come from the patriarchy. Now, if that's what you want, I am not saying do not get married, do not have kids. All I'm saying is educate yourself, do your research, learn what you're getting yourself into. It's not a Disney fairy tale. And as much as Disney and the like has added to the childhoods of probably billions of people, the concept of happily ever after and Prince Charming and all of that is fake. It does not exist. There is no happily ever after. You could have the greatest wedding day in the history of weddings, and that means nothing as far as how your marriage is going to go. Marriage is work. Love is work. And people mistake weddings for the marriage. And yeah, none of that is beneficial to women.
So it's like, look at yourselves. And you know what the solution is? Men want things to go back how it was. They're like, well, we just need to go back to the way it was. We need to get the women back into the kitchen. Motherfuckers, you guys are the ones that are like, hey, you have to contribute 50-50, work full time, have all my babies, organize.
Yeah, seriously, who can live on one income, especially in this economy nowadays? This is insanity. People have like couples with 4 jobs between them and they're scraping by. It's shameful. But for the most part, before all of the craziness, but for the most part, I mean, in my lifetime, when you moved in with a guy, yeah, you split the expenses 50-50. That's just kind of like common courtesy, I would think.
Everything, cook, clean, look good.
And that was because I came of age in a time when women suddenly had the Equal Rights Amendment and women's lib. And, you know, it was not fresh and new because I was a teenager in the 80s. So we actually got to kind of take it for granted that, yeah, we're liberated. I'm going to pay 50% of the bill when the check comes. If the guy wants to pay the whole thing, that's great. But I'm offering to pay my half. I mean, that's just me personally. Shut up, Dev.
Never age. Don't get fat. You have to make me look good because in order to be of value in this world around the patriarchy that men built, they have to have a woman that makes them look good, and you have to be the provider, you have to be the man. But you guys don't even, you contribute like 25, that's like 25% of what you need to be doing in a relationship. So of course, women now in 2026, we are decentering you because we don't fucking need you. Yeah. We're waking up. We don't want to be.
I made a video recently, and part of the title was Men Are Irrelevant. And it's a crazy time. And it's kind of amazing to be able to say that. But I'm saying it as someone who's 55, and I've already done all the crazy, wild sex stuff I'm probably ever going to want to do. I've had a good, solid relationship history. I have lived with guys. You know, I've done all of that. And I have climbed to this age when I'm supposed to be expired now. And I like the peace and quiet. And it's amazing to me that these are girls that are half my age, and they're already getting to that point. I hope I'm explaining this clearly. Like, you guys, menopause brain fog is fucking real. I think I said this on my last video. And so I often lose my train of thought. So please, y'all, in the comments, tell me if I sound like an idiot, okay?
Like our boomer parents or even Gen X. We don't want to do that. We don't need to do that. We're trying to move things along, but you guys, instead of stepping up, working on yourselves a little bit, are instead degrading, devaluing, blaming women, not taking accountability for the fucking structure that you guys have built, and you want things to go backwards instead of forward. Make that make sense to me, please. You're lonely because you want to be lonely. You're lonely because you don't want to do the work. You're lonely because you'd rather be a victim, suppress your emotions rather than embrace them, not because of women, but because of men. Because
I love her fire. I love it. And Gen X women are with you, girly. This is Mia Najpal, and she is lovely, and she is very, very smart girl.
Because men are telling you that if you have feelings, then you're gay, that you're weak. Having feelings is an expression, and it's actually fucking healthy.
Yeah.
It's healthy.
It's why women live longer than men.
Not the fucking problem. Women are actually the solution. And I have this feeling that centuries ago, a man was hurt by his mother. And ever since that day, every single fucking woman has been paying for it ever since.
Totally.
It's like a man, like, as what I've realized is as women, the day that we're fucking born, we are valuable. We literally create life. Yes, we need the seed from the man, but we bring life into this world. And for far too long, we've been made to believe that we're not valuable. That at a certain age, oh, at 30, you're no longer valued to the world. Fuck off. That's not true.
Yes. Fuck all the way off.
You just said that a huge amount of men between the age of 15 and 50 will not pass on their genes. They will effectively die out of the gene mating pool. Good. Some of these gene pools need to be drained. But
Yeah. Amen, sir.
let's listen further. So people will hear that, and many people will go, well, that's evolution. Yeah. Should society intervene? You know, in the short term, we're going to have a lot of men who are disillusioned, that become incels, find themselves in pockets of the internet, are resentful, all those kinds of things. But should society intervene to course correct that? Should we put systems in place to make sure that those men meet? What kind of systems can you put in place to guarantee that incel men meet partners? Unless we're talking about increasing the therapy budget and the hygiene budget, and it just works.
Totally. Yes, sir. I mean, we've already had a system for that in place for thousands of years. That's the problem. Women were sold by their fathers to their husbands. And nowadays, it's still unfair to women. Women are the default parent. They're just generally expected to do, and this is a broad generalization. Not all men are like this, but enough are like this that we've got content on it all over the fucking place.
Workout budget or something like that. What systems are we talking about right here, right? I feel like with that mentality right there, it gets off the mindset that everybody is entitled to a partner, which can lead people down the incel pathway. When you get rejected constantly, you even feel like I'm entitled to a woman, I'm entitled to a partner, and these people are not giving it to me, and I deserve it. So that increases the anger right there. What kind of systems could you put in place to counteract that right there, right?
I'm going to answer that question with a question. If, let's say, the huge swath of people are dying out from cancer, should we intervene with that?
Yes.
If a huge swath of people are dying out from, like, a virus, should we intervene
100%.
with that? So I think there are two important things.
It's slightly different, though.
One is about, so one is like, if a human being is dying, we should step in. But natural selection isn't necessarily about, this is what's really tricky.
Now, I am glad that Steve said it's slightly different, though. You comparing.
That's an interesting point, but a virus that any human can catch is not the same as a certain portion of the human population not having what it takes to have meaningful human connections. Those, we need that to die out, in my humble opinion.
Mating with cancer and deaths and viruses and things like that. Yeah, I feel like as society has progressed and time has came, right, men have to work harder to get women. There are a lot of men out here who feel like that's not fair. And honestly, truth be told, I was one of them, right? Growing up, they tell you all you had to do is get a good job and do this and work out and you'll get a girl, right? But that doesn't always work. Nowadays, women actually want you to be nice to them. Not all of them. Not all of them. But women want you to be nice and emotionally intelligent. There are a lot of men out there who are like, damn, man, I gotta be emotionally intelligent too? Damn. I can't just go to the gym and hit the weights. And
yeah, there's going to be, as time goes on, and evolution does its thing, there's going to be a lot of men left behind until it becomes normal for boys and girls to be brought up equally expressing their feelings. I mean, that's the only thing that can help that part of it.
Get some money and get some women? Yeah, if you get your money up, you can get women, of course. But those women will probably only want you for your money, and you will know that. And you will also resent them. I don't know what system you can put in place to guarantee that somebody gets a partner, because this just doesn't happen unless you're forcing them, right? You gonna force them? What are we talking about here? To me, as someone who's diagnosed with a personality disorder, I have narcissistic personality disorder, right? And people hate narcissists. But I worked on myself. I've been in psychotherapy for 8 years. I've worked on myself physically, mentally.
Okay, so in my opinion, he's not very far down the narcissist spectrum. But if there's any therapists out there that can explain that clearer in the comments, have at it. Because it's rare that a narcissist can even admit that they're a narcissist and want to change. It's so rare. So props to this guy.
Mostly all of the other good stuff, y'all. The system that needs to be put in place is to regulate people who are spewing this dumb shit that men are entitled to women. You're entitled to a partner and you have to do less work and they should be submissive and blah, 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 boo, 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 bee, bee, right? Because when you get rejected and you get angry, then you get online and you see that incel weirdo shit sometimes, you can see how easy it would be to fall into that path. Sorry, fellas, you got to work on yourself. We have to work on ourselves. Before y'all call me a simp, beta, pender, or whatever, y'all, I've been married for like 10 years, almost 11 years now. I'm good, right? I want the next generation of men to just understand that, yeah, you can work on yourself. Just to be emotionally intelligent, be nice. You can be masculine and be nice as well, right? Because that male bravado, that weird macho shit doesn't work on everybody.
It's really great points that he's making. And it just makes me think that, like, I have a platonic straight male friend. I have quite a few platonic straight male friends. That is totally possible. Don't believe what the patriarchy tells you about that. And he is totally one of the good guys. You know, he's not perfect, but he's tall, dark, and handsome. He's talented. He's, you know, gainfully employed. He's got his own place. He's quite a catch. And well-read and very kind and polite to women. And yet, I've known him for a number of years now, and every time he meets a girl who he's attracted to, he'll text me, you know, here's a picture of her or whatever. And his first comment is, I shit you not, always, I'd put a baby in her. Like, would you say that to her face? No, you wouldn't, because that is as gross as saying the N-word to a black person. It's that disgusting. No, she is not a walking pussy, you know? She's not a walking uterus for you. And yet this good guy has just absorbed by osmosis the I don't know, misogyny, the patriarchal misogyny, that women are to be taken down. They gotta be gorgeous, so they'll attract a man, but that man's job is to take her down. And I have debated him on this topic so often because he says it every time he sees a hot chick. And if you think I'm overreacting, please tell me in the comments, because every time he says that, I'm like, fucking asshole, you're part of the problem, you know? And he's the nicest guy too. Like, he's not a cheater. He is thoughtful. He sent me flowers when I was in the hospital, and we're just friends. So even the nice guys, unfortunately, are susceptible to, I don't know, talk patriarchal thinking, whatever you want to call it. There's a great old saying that I think should come back, and it's that, it used to be a bumper sticker: feminism is the radical idea that women are human too. And that's all it is. Just want to be equal but different. Why that's a problem is the age-old question, I suppose. Well, that's what I got for you today, guys. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. You guys always show up with the most thoughtful and intelligent comments. It just makes me feel smarter just knowing you fine people. As always, if you like this video, please like it, hype it, do all those YouTube-y things. I sincerely thank everyone who stops by to hear me talk shit on the internet, and I will see you guys in the next video. Thank you so much.